Welcome, everyone, to a very special edition of Game of the Week. It's Bruce Wetton with Jeff Davenport here at the Herald Review Media in Sierra Vista to talk all about Best of Preps, the award ceremony that honors the best Cochise County high school athletes, teams, coaches, and more will be coming this Thursday, June 8th at the Buena High School main auditorium. And our very special guest speaker will be the man who is joining us now. Coach, commentator, Dallas Cowboys legend, Super Bowl champion, NCAA Hall of Famer, Arena Football League Hall of Famer, motivational speaker, and the man who's taking time out of his wedding day to talk to us today. We want to welcome Danny White to our Zoomcast here. Danny, how are you today?
Well, I almost literally could not be better. It's an exciting day for me, and so I'm happy to share it with you guys, and looking forward to coming down there next week.
You're actually talking with us
hours. What a great program.
You're actually talking with us hours before your time to not here.
5 hours.
We thank you for taking time out of your special day to meet with us briefly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Danny, and all the best to you today. As we get into this, Best of Preps is all about Cochise County athletes. You are a product of Arizona sports, spending time at Westwood High School in Mesa, much like the young people were highlighting at the Best of Preps awards ceremony. You were a multiple sport athlete in high school. Can you tell us about your high school athletic career and the sports you played back then?
Well, I played them all. I mean, I was constantly involved in whatever sport was in season. And in fact, I remember I was a baseball player. Baseball was my favorite sport. And I remember my dad picking me up from a baseball game, driving me over to the track so I could long jump and high jump for the track team, and then driving me back while I changed uniforms in the back seat from a baseball to a track uniform back to a baseball uniform. So those were crazy days. And, I feel bad that kids today don't have that opportunity quite as much as I did, but you never know. I'm a perfect example of a guy. I loved baseball, went to college on a baseball scholarship at ASU, and ended up having a football career out of all that. So you never know.
Well, some of our athletes are actually four-sport athletes, and a couple of them compete in track and softball at the same time. And ironically, state was held the same day in Phoenix at 2 different locations. So much like you, they were changing in the back of their vehicles, trying to get from Stadium A to Stadium B.
Right.
But it's being a small school, we had to share athletes. You went to Mesa Westwood, which was a bigger school. Did you have a lot of athletes that played multiple sports at the same time?
I think most of the guys played multiple sports, football and wrestling. We had a lot of wrestlers on our football team. Football and basketball, football and baseball. Not many combined basketball with other sports, because basketball falls right in the middle of the year, and it was pretty hard to play basketball and another sport. But I was able to do it. I mean, the coaches were great about it, and they worked with me and with each other, and I'm grateful that they did, because that's one of the best things about my high school career was that I was able to play all 4 sports.
Mm-hmm. Well, you alluded to this earlier with the choices you had to take your talents to the next level after high school. You chose to stay in the Valley and follow in the family footsteps of attending Arizona State University. Were there other schools you were looking at, and what was the ultimate factor in choosing to attend ASU?
Well, yeah, I was actually recruited by Kansas State and BYU, and had actually committed to BYU. I was going to fly up there on a Saturday to sign my letter of intent. And on Thursday night, Frank Cush, who was the football coach at ASU at the time, he had just come from the high school all-star game where I had maybe my best football game ever. I started at free safety. I wasn't even the starting quarterback. I
What?
started at free safety and intercepted 3 passes. And then I played quarterback in the second half and threw 3 touchdown passes. And we won 21-20. And Frank Kush happened to be in the stands. So he decided he was going to give it a shot. He came over to my house on a Thursday night, talked to my mom and dad and me, and he was out of scholarships. But he called Bobby Winkles, who was the baseball coach at the time, and got Bobby Winkles to give me over the phone, commit to me a baseball scholarship. And of course, back then, baseball scholarships to ASU were golden with the heritage that they had in baseball. And so that I changed my mind, and just had to call BYU up and say, hey, I changed my mind. I'm going to stay here and go to ASU.
So you said no to Lavelle Edwards?
No, it wasn't Lavelle Edwards at the time. It was
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it doesn't matter. I've also
Anyway.
followed BYU.
It was the man who was a great football coach himself before him, but it was the baseball coach that really had recruited me. But they were giving me a football scholarship
Okay.
and not a baseball scholarship. So that made a difference. That plus just staying at home, and I knew even though he didn't try to influence me one way or the other, I knew that my dad preferred that I stay and go to ASU because, of course, he was an ASU All-American, the first All-American at ASU, and went on to play for the Chicago Bears. So my dad was a big influence in all of that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Again, the family legacy continuing on with the Sun Devils.
Glenn Tuckett was the baseball coach at BYU and had a great record. And that was the hardest thing probably about not going to BYU was to not get a chance to play for him.
Well, when you made the choice to go to ASU, how many years were you playing both football and baseball while you were there?
3 years. I played my freshman, sophomore, and junior years, and then my senior year, I just focused on football. I told Jim Brock, that was another thing. The guy that recruited me, Bobby Winkles, had left and gone into professional baseball. Jim Brock came in as the baseball coach, and so that kind of changed things a little bit too. And I had to tell Coach Brock that I was going to just focus on football. My senior year, I played 3 years of both.
Well, that's amazing. And of course, your legacy at ASU, leading the Sun Devils to 3 Fiesta Bowl championships in the heyday of the Arizona college sports dominance. Your next step was to go to the next level. And in today's world of professional football, there are other options with the resurgence of the leagues like the Arena Football League, where you were a coach for the Arizona Rattlers, the USFL, and the XFL. After being drafted by the Cowboys in 1974 to be mainly used as a punter, you decided to play for the Memphis Southmen in the WFL for 2 years. What are your thoughts on the alternative leagues and the opportunities that they provide for today's professional football player?
Well, there haven't been enough of them that have been successful. We need a good, consistent alternative league for these guys to play in because there are a lot of good football players who are left without any place to play. And I was fortunate in that the WFL came along and was getting started my first year as a rookie. And I remember getting a call from John Bassett just over the phone. He said, Danny, what would it take? This was after the Cowboys had drafted me, made me we'd gone through 2 stages of offers. And John Bassett asked me, what would it take to get you to come play in the WFL? And I just doubled the offer that the Cowboys had made me. And this is me talking, not my agent. It's just me. I just doubled it. And he said, okay, you got it. Come on. We got a plane ticket for you on Saturday, fly up to Memphis. And actually it was to Toronto where they had a press release and announcement. And so it was about 2 things. It was about money and it was about having a chance to play. And I had 2 years of a great experience in the WFL with guys like Larry Zonka, Jim Kick, Paul Warfield. Those guys were all on our team in Memphis.
That's amazing. We're talking to Danny White, who will be the guest speaker at the Herald Review Media's Best of Preps on Thursday, June 8th. So in 1976, after the WFL closed its doors, you ended up going to the Cowboys and you played behind a little known guy named Roger Staubach. What was your relationship with him like?
We had a very unique relationship in that we were very competitive in everything that we did, whether it was football or lifting weights, playing golf or ping pong or basketball.
Ping pong even.
Yeah, ping pong. Well, that was there's a story behind that. He was the king of the ping pong table at training camp, and a little rookie came along and beat him. And that's the first time I saw the competitiveness of Roger Staubach when his paddle got stuck in the wall.
How many times after that did you beat him again?
He wasn't used to losing. Roger was a great competitor, but a great friend, and to this day, it's a cherished relationship for me because he's always been very supportive of me and very complimentary.
I love that. Now, at the Best of Preps awards ceremony, we highlight teams, individual athletes, and coaches all across Cochise County. Of course, one of your coaches was the legendary Tom Landry, who's quoted as saying, "I don't think anybody could have followed Roger and done as well as Danny. Danny was a solid winner." So my question for you is, what lessons did you learn from Coach Landry that you were able to take with you in your own Hall of Fame coaching career?
Well, I think the biggest one is that in 13 years with Coach Landry, I never heard him raise his voice. That's saying something for an NFL coach, but he commanded such respect from us as players. He didn't have to yell. He didn't have to swear and curse and throw tantrums like some coaches do. He just simply told us what he expected of us. And if we didn't do it, we knew that he would just simply go get somebody else, somebody that would. If we didn't show up on time, if you're 4 minutes early, you're late with Coach Landry. And it was that sort of discipline, I think, that was the key to all of his success. The fact that he was better prepared, better trained, and smarter than his opponents. And he went out and got players he didn't get the biggest, fastest, strongest players. He got guys that would work hard, that would out-discipline the opponent. And sooner or later that was going to pay off, and it did for him.
Oh, absolutely. Now, being a Dallas Cowboys quarterback is certainly a unique fraternity, to say the least. Very few people understand what it's like to be the play caller under center for America's team and the pressure that can sometimes come along with it. What is that photo right there?
There's the fraternity right there.
There it is.
Wow.
That's the only picture ever taken of the 6 quarterbacks that Tom Landry drafted. Now, you got to be a pretty serious Cowboy fan to be able to name all 6 of them, probably. But that's a fraternity that I'm a very, very proud member of.
And who's in that picture, sir?
I see Troy in there.
You got to name them.
You
can't name them? Okay, starts with Eddie LeBaron, first Cowboy quarterback, Craig Morton, Don Meredith, Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman, and myself. People don't realize Tom Landry drafted Troy Aikman, not Jimmy Johnson.
That's right.
I saw Troy play in college, and then at the same time, the first one, I didn't start following you guys until Dandy Don started playing for you guys, and of course, Craig Morton.
Yeah,
and I saw you guys beat him in the Super Bowl, 27-10.
Bruce County. So, Danny, seeing that photo is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. When you look at the star quarterbacks that were after your time, people like the Troy Aikmans, the Tony Romos, and now Dak Prescott, what does it take to be a leader or considered a leader on a team?
Well, it's simply a matter of fitting in with the philosophy of the head coach and then transferring that through you to your teammates. And I think that's the most important part of being a quarterback in the NFL for any team. Coach Landry would tell you that he had a handful of guys on every team that shared his philosophy. In other words, they believed that the way to get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl was to do it his way. And as I mentioned earlier, it wasn't necessarily being bigger, stronger, and faster. It was more about being better prepared, in better shape, smarter, make fewer mistakes. I mean, those are the things that Landry instilled in all of us, and he would pick those guys and make them captains, and then let them run the team. And that's what he did. He empowered his captains. He told me that one time, and I said, "But Coach, we voted on captains. You didn't pick the captains." He said, "Yeah, but who counted the votes?" And that's all I needed to know. Enough said. So, yeah, Coach Landry handpicked his own captains, and that was one of the keys to his success.
Amazing. Now, of course, many former professional athletes who choose to remain connected to the game either become coaches or broadcasters. You have done both. So I'm wondering, what are some of the commonalities between being a great coach and being a great broadcaster?
Well, you have to know the game, first of all, and know it better than your play-by-play guy. Otherwise, they don't need you, right? And I think you have to be articulate. You have to be able to express yourself and put things into words, and do it, in a way I think that brings people to the broadcast, and people want to hear what you have to say. And I've been places and done some things that a lot of people would love to do, playing in Super Bowls and that sort of thing. And so I like to use my experience as much as I can.
Well, that experience runs so deep. And before we wrap up here, just a couple of more questions for you. We're talking to Danny White, who will be the special guest speaker at the Best of Preps Awards ceremony, honoring the best of Cochise County High School athletes, teams, and coaches on Thursday, June 8th. And thinking about the high school sporting world, you have, and even college and young people as a whole, you've spent time shaping, molding, and inspiring these young athletes who played for you when you were coaching. What are some of the things that you are going to say, or if you can give us just a little preview of what you might say to the young people at the Best of Preps Award ceremony on Thursday, June 8th?
Well, just to put yourself in a position, in places where you can do good things, and by that I mean, the kids today have so many options, so many places they can go, including the internet and physical places where you're not gonna really get a lot out of it long term. We live in a look at me society, with all the different ways there are to get attention, that are not necessarily positive ways, in my opinion. And so I just hope these athletes will continue to surround themselves with good people. That's a huge key. Who do you hang? You are eventually going to become a product of the people that you hang around with. It's as simple as that. And so continue to choose good people to put around you and to work with and to hang out with and spend time with, and good things will happen.
Well, we're all excited that you will be a part of the Best of Prep ceremony this Thursday, June 8th. Before we leave, one final question. I'm just curious, do you have an all-time favorite sports movie? And if so, which one might that be?
Wow. That's a tough one. There are so many good ones. And I don't know. I love Rudy, just because it's the kid that overcame the odds, and I love that in present day athletes. I love to see the undrafted free agents, come along and beat out or take the spotlight away from a first round draft pick that, signed for millions and millions of dollars. And so that's kind of the story that Rudy tells, I think, is that anybody can do it, and that's the great thing about the sports world in general, especially football, is that, you can't talk your way to the top. We live in a political world where you can literally talk your way to the top without really doing anything. In sports, you have to compete. You have to go on the field or on the court and actually play the game and prove and back up what you say. That's the thing I love about sports. And so I'd have to, I guess I'd say Rudy, but gosh, the Rocky movies are the same kind of thing, the underdog coming up. And so those are my favorite types of movies.
Those are fantastic movies, a fantastic answer, and we are looking forward to a magical evening this Thursday, June 8th, as we celebrate the Cochise County High School athletes, teams, and coaches, the best of the best at Best of Preps with our very special guest, Danny White. Danny, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. Congratulations on your wedding day. We look forward to seeing you on Thursday.
Yeah, I gotta go get married now, guys, so we'll have to cut this off.
Well, best of luck today, and we will see you this Thursday. Danny, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
All right. Look forward to seeing you guys. Great to talk to you.
Thank you.